Assalamu alaikum, dear students. In this video, we will understand what is mean by computer program and programming, and what are the steps in computer programming and its relationship with problem solving. So, a computer program. A computer program is a sequence of instruction to perform a task. In this definition, uh, instructions means directions to the computer hardware like processor, input output devices, storage devices, and all such type of computer devices. So get together, these devices are called as hardware. So we in a computer program we give directions to these computer hardware devices to perform a specific task. While sequence means that these instructions or directions must be in a particular order. Order is very important. So when we give instructions to the computer, we should maintain the order of those instructions. Uh, and all of this done to perform a specific task. A specific type of work is done by a computer to that is we call computer program. It means whatever task we ask a computer to perform, it performs, but it needs instruction from us to complete that task. So a computer is a tool to communicate with the computers. We can say that computer program is a tool to communicate with the computer. For example, if you want to compute the sum of two numbers, uh, 2 and 7 by the computer. So we need to give some instructions to the computer. Otherwise, computer, is an idiot machine, idiot box, which cannot do this task by itself. So here you can see that these types of instructions we will have to give in order to compute the sum of 2 and 7 by the computer. Right now, don't focus on the syntax of these instructions, at what is mean by printf, what is this int. We will explore them in detail later on. But right now, just see the look and feel of a program, of a short program. So in a program, these are the instructions that we give the computer to perform. So as an example, you can say that it is a sample program to add two numbers, 2 and 7. So, and this program is given in a language which we call C language. Okay, there are many languages in which we can write the program, but this time we are using C language as it is in our syllabus. So, but other types of languages are C++, Java, and GW Basic, and there are Python. There are so many other types of language that we can use to uh, make a computer program. Okay. Now, computer programming. You know that this process of creating such type of programs using any of the programming languages, like as I told, C, C++, Java, is called as programming. Okay, this process of creating programs using any of the programming language is called as programming. So now the question arises, how can we do this process of programming? So programming is a branch of problem solving, and it follows the general steps of problem solving to create a program. So that is the relationship between programming and the problem solving. We can say that programming is a branch of problem solving. So let's explore the steps of this problem solving process. So as you can see that the steps to be followed while doing programming are these steps. Number one, defining the problem. The first step in making a program is to define the problem itself. What is the problem? Then analyze the problem. After defining the problem, what we do, we analyze the problem in different parts, and then after that, we plan the solution, plan, or we can say the design the solution. Okay, in this stage, we create the algorithm. Algorithm is nothing but a step-by-step expression to solve a particular problem, and its pictorial form is called as flowchart. So in this step of planning and designing, we do two things, that is creating the algorithm and creating the flowchart. And then after that, we write or code the program. So using any of the programming language, like in our course, we will do it with the help of C language. So this is the fourth step. First, defining the problem. Second, analyzing. Third, planning and designing. And fourth is writing or coding. We can also say this writing the program process as coding. And then we have the fifth step in which we test or debug the program so that we can make sure that the program conforms to the requirements that we specify in defining the problem. So testing and debugging the program, it is followed by the last step in which we document the program for a number of people like users and programmers. So this is an overview of the steps of the programming. Now I will go into the detail of these steps in turn. So we have first step as problem identification. ठीक है जी? So in problem identification steps, we try to define the problems. Like let's suppose we have to design a school management system, then making this school management system is a problem for us. And to solve this problem, we must follow a step-by-step process to solve this problem. So we have got to understand these steps, and in which these steps, the first step is problem identification. So in problem identification steps, we try to define the problem. Like in this problem of designing the school management system, we try to find out the different problems faced by the schools, like fee collection, like registration process, like timetable generation, and etc. So there are many problems faced by the school. So this school management system will propose or will provide the solution for these types of problems. And once we get the details of these problems, then we specify these problems in a document which is called as requirements gathering document. So we specify these requirements in which we write down the details of these problems, like uh, the program's objective, what is the overall objective of the program, what is the desired output, what output we are desiring to produce, then the input data that is required for this program, and the processing requirements, the most important part, that how we can transform the input data into our desired output. These are given by the processing requirements. Okay, so these are the steps in problem identification. We follow these steps to formally find out the problem of a given situation. Now, after problem identification, we move to the second step, In this step, we analyze the problem. Here, analysis means to find the solutions of that problem. We figure out different possible solutions and try to find out which is the best result giving solution. So this step is to find out the best result giving solution among a number of alternatives, among different possible solutions to the problem. Now, this is the most important step, I must say, of steps in programming, that is designing the solution. You know that after analysis, we focus in how to design the solution that we have decided in analysis phase. That is how to communicate properly the solution of the problem. We have decided the solution in our mind. Now, how to communicate properly the solution of that problem. So in this step, we create two things. Uh, One is flow algorithm and the other is flowchart. And algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to tell the solution of a problem. And then we convert this algorithm into the graphical or pictorial form, which we call flowchart. So the graphical representation of algorithm is called as flowchart. We will see later on the details of these tools. These are very important as far as our syllabus is concerned. Now, for example, see this flowchart. In this diagram, the overall working of that school management system that I was talking about is shown. In it, all the entities are shown in the box. As you can see, there are admin, staff, student. These are all the entities. While the actions of these entities are shown by the arrows. You can see these arrows. These are the actions. And the main operations performed by this system uh, are represented by circles, like login process, like admission process. So these are the shapes that we use in a flowchart. But do remember that it is one of the forms of making flowcharts. Later on, we will see some different forms of flowcharts. Now at this step, the solution of the problem that we have expressed in the form of algorithm and flowchart is converted into a computer program on a computer system using a programming language that is we call coding the program. So we can use any of our chosen language like C, C++, Java, and the language selection depends on many factors like the resources available, the expertise of the programmer, and of course the type of the program that we are going to make. So this process is called as coding. The process of converting the flow chart and the algorithm into a program is called as coding. You have heard about this term, but yeah, now you know the meaning of this term. In this process of coding, we use many tools, but the most important one is the integrated development environment that we call IDE, which gives us support to make computer programs. Like in our course, we will be using an IDE called as Turbo C++. So we will be using Turbo C++ for making programs in C language. So this is the step of coding the program. This is also one of the most important steps of programming. Now at this stage, we try to find out if our software is working according to what the requirements we specified in the beginning, or it is not working. This step is called as testing the program. So testing is the process of making sure that the program performs the intended task. The task that we defined in the first step, that is in the problem identification step, we check that is the program working according to that requirements analysis. And debugging is the process of locating and eliminating program errors. So if you find any errors in the program in the testing stage, we try to locate that problems and then try to figure out and eliminate those programming errors. This process is called as debugging. Okay. So this step is called as testing the program. This is the second last step, and the last step is documenting the program. In the last, we document the whole story of this development or the program making process, and we make two types of documents. One is for intended for the users of the software, that's called user documentation, and the other one is called programmers documentation, that is intended for the programmers. Okay, so while other types of documentation, while the user documentation that is intended for the end users of the program. End users are the real users who are going to make use of this software. So end users need to know how to use the program, and some organizations may offer even training courses to train the end users for that software, in which human trainers guide users about the working of the program. However, other organizations may expect users to be able to learn just from the written documentation. So it can be in the form of training or it can be in the written documentation. While the other type of documentation is for the programmers, because if later on somebody wants to make some changes in our program, so there should be a detailed documentation about how we made this program, so that changes and updates to that program can be made. So these are the steps of programming. With this lecture ends. In the next class, we will explore further details about these steps. Until then, Allah Hafiz.